Okay, so another important phenomena that takes place in the frequency modulation is pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. Let us have a look at the concept of pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. First of all, what is the need of this pre-emphasis and de-emphasis? That too, particularly for frequency modulated signal. See, we know that if we have a look at the power spectral density of an audio signal, the rough, if I draw it roughly, it is something like this with respect to frequency. So this is some point f1. Okay, so the shape of the power spectral density of the audio signal is something like this, and if simultaneously if we have a look at the power spectral density of the noise signal, which is your undesired signal, it is something like this. It is more at the higher frequencies, which is opposite to the power spectral density of the audio signal, right? This is the power spectral density of the noise, and this is the power spectral density of the audio signal in particular. So when we combine the audio signal with the noise, which is bound to happen in the communication scenario, when we combine these two, the audio signal with the noise, we find that there's a particular frequency threshold. Let's say this is point f1, beyond which the signal to noise ratio is less than 1. We can say that up to f1, signal to noise ratio is greater than 1, and the frequency components present in the FM signal can be reproduced at the receiver output. Okay, so this is a desired condition. Signal to noise ratio is more than 1, right? But beyond f1, it is observed that signal to noise ratio is less than 1, which is not desired. That is, at the higher frequency components, at the higher frequency, the signal to noise ratio is less than 1. Okay, so we need to have some corrective measures for this issue. So for high frequency, in particular, first thing what we can do is either signal power S has to be increased, right? Or else what we can do is we can decrease the noise power, Okay, these two measures can be adopted to deal with this situation, right? But we know the noise power is indeterministic. We cannot deal with that. What we have in our hand is this signal power. Okay, so we'll play with the signal power for higher frequencies, so that the signal to noise ratio is more than 1, which is the desired scenario. Okay, so what we do is we artificially increase the signal strength at the higher frequency. The signal strength is increased artificially at the higher frequencies, and this phenomena of increasing the signal strength at higher frequency is known as pre-emphasis. Hence we can define pre-emphasis as to improve the, you can say, fidelity of signal to noise ratio for high frequency components of right. So the power of high frequency components has to be increased. That is the pre-emphasis. So this process of increasing the strength of the signal at high frequency, the process of increasing the strength of high frequency components of audio signal is called pre-emphasis. This is how we can define pre-emphasis, and this is done at the transmitting end before modulation process. Pre-emphasis is done at the transmitter before modulation. Okay. Now, what type of circuitry is used for pre-emphasis part? So let's say we have this kind of an audio signal. The power spectral density is something like this. We pass it through a pre-emphasis circuit whose transfer function is supposed to be something like this. That at F1, this should be the transfer function of this pre-emphasis circuit to deal with this problem of low signal to noise ratio at high frequency components. So the resultant output would be something like this, isn't it? Right. The transfer function should be something like this. If you remember, this kind of a transfer function is achieved using a lead compensator circuit. That is that can be easily implemented using you can say the discrete components like resistor and capacitor. This is your simple lead compensator circuit, which can be easily implemented using discrete elements, resistance and the capacitors. Okay, so with the help of this lead compensator circuit, we can design such kind of a transfer function, and we can adjust this frequency, cutoff frequency, with the help of the values of these discrete elements. And with the help of this lead compensator circuit, which is nothing but a pre-emphasis circuit, we can deal with the issue of the low signal to noise ratio at the transmitting end. Okay, so this process takes place at the transmitter before the modulation process. Okay, now we come to the de-emphasis part. So the process of de-emphasis, it takes place at the receiver end of the FM receiver. At the receiver, and it is just opposite to the pre-emphasis process at the receiver after demodulation. And it is just opposite to the pre-emphasis. That is, in case of pre-emphasis, we increase the signal strength at high frequency components. So in case of de-emphasis, we'll decrease the signal strength at high frequency components. So the opposite, equal and opposite process has to take place at the receiver end, okay, for proper detection of the signal. So this is the significance of de-emphasis. So it is nothing but decreasing the strength of the signal of high frequency components of audio signal. This is how you can define a de-emphasis process. It is just equal and opposite to the pre-emphasis. So after modulation, let's say if your received signal is something like this, If you pass it through a de-emphasis circuit, and the transfer function of the de-emphasis circuit should be something like this. And this is nothing but your transfer function of a low pass filter. So your simple low pass filter can act as a de-emphasis circuit. We can easily set the frequency, cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. So using a low pass filter, you can implement a de-emphasis circuit. So the resultant would be something like this, which was your original audio signal, right? So this is how the de-emphasis process takes place, and it can be implemented by using a simple low pass circuitry. Okay, now comes the question that why pre-emphasis and de-emphasis are needed in FM only but not in AM. Why pre-emphasis and de-emphasis are only needed in FM and not in amplitude modulation. The reason for this is very simple. If you look at the amplitude modulation case, AM case, the bandwidth is 10 kilohertz and the message signal frequency is 5 kilohertz. This is the standard bandwidth for AM signal, right? So if you look at the signal strength, it decreases with the frequency. Let's say we start with 20 hertz. It keeps on decreasing with the frequency. Let's say at 5 kilohertz at this point, this is the signal strength. This is, say, let's say 20 kilohertz point. Okay, so we can clearly say that since the message signal is lies in the vicinity of 5 kilohertz, okay, and at 5 kilohertz in case of AM signal, the signal strength is appropriate so that signal to noise ratio is greater than 1. Okay, so hence pre-emphasis is not needed. Okay, alright, but for the frequency is greater than 5 kilohertz, which is not the case in the AM signal. The pre-emphasis will be required because the signal strength is you can see falling, and that will result into the low signal to noise ratio, even lesser than 1. Okay, so for in AM transmission, low frequencies of audio signal is only considered for transmission. So pre-emphasis and de-emphasis is not required clearly. So in AM, only the low frequency of audio signal is considered for transmission. So pre-emphasis and de-emphasis are not required. Alright, and on the other hand, if we talk about the frequency modulation, in case of FM, the standard bandwidth is around 200 kilohertz. Alright, so this is Carson's rules says that the approximate value of the bandwidth is twice of delta F plus FM, and this is equal to 200 kilohertz. And the standard delta F, the frequency deviation, is 70 kilohertz. So FM comes out to be 25 kilohertz. The message signal frequency is quite higher as compared to the message signal frequency in case of AM, isn't it? So the signal strength, if we start from 20 hertz, it decreases significantly at 25 kilohertz, thus resulting into signal to noise ratio less than 1. Hence PE and DE, that is pre-emphasis and de-emphasis, are must in case of frequency modulation and are not required for amplitude modulation for obvious reasons. Okay, next topic is your frequency division multiplexing. Firstly, what do we mean by multiplexing? Multiplexing, it allows the transmission of several signals simultaneously. Multiplexing is transmission of several signals simultaneously using the same resource, or you can say sharing the same resource. Okay, so multiplexing can be your frequency division multiplexing or time division multiplexing, or you can say space division multiplexing as well. But we'll discuss about frequency division multiplexing here. In case of frequency division multiplexing, several signals are transmitted simultaneously by sharing a band of frequency or a band of channels. In FDM, several signals are transmitted simultaneously by sharing a band of channel. Okay, the same channel is being shared by the several signals for the simultaneous transmission. That is the concept. Okay, so now let us see how this process takes place. Let us understand this with the help of a simple example. I'll just draw the FDM process. Let's say we have multiple sources here, okay, which have their individual signals to be transmitted, right? So what we do is we individually modulate these signals . We individually modulate these signals over different carrier frequencies. Let's say we modulate the signal S1 over frequency F1. We modulate signal S2 over carrier frequency F2, and signal S3 over a different carrier frequency, that is F3. Okay, these F1, F2, F3 are the carrier frequency, and these are the modulators. Okay, different type of modulations can be used here. It can be your AM, multiple variants of AM, conventional, DSBSC, SSBSC, VSB, or frequency modulation or phase modulation. Any type of modulators could be used over here. Now these individual signals, modulated signals, let's say we have different types of modulated signal here. Okay, these are added to make a composite signal. These are added to make a composite signal here. This is the composite signal. Okay, this is your complete frequency division multiplexing process at the transmitting end. Okay, the input signal may be digital or analog. So, and the composite signal transmitted across the medium is always analog, obviously, right? So this composite signal is further modulated by a RF carrier. This composite signal is nothing but your baseband signal, which is to be transmitted over longer distance. So we modulate it over an RF carrier and it is transmitted. This signal is transmitted now. This is the overall FDM process. I'll repeat once again. In case of frequency division multiplexing, several signals are transmitted simultaneously and they share a band of channel. Okay. Now each signal, you can see each signal is modulated by a different carrier frequency, right? Each signal is modulated by a different carrier frequencies, and these carriers are known as subcarriers. These are different subcarriers over which individual signals are modulated, and these subcarriers, they are adequately separated. These subcarriers are adequately separated, and this separation is to avoid any kind of overlap or interference. To avoid overlap or interference. To avoid any kind of overlap or interference, adequate separation is maintained between these subcarriers, and each signal may use a different type of modulation scheme for the modulation process. And the modulated signal spectra, these modulated signal spectrum, they may be separated by a small guard band to avoid interference and facilitate signal separation at the receiver end. Okay, so when all the modulated spectra are added, we have a composite signal with us. Okay, that may be considered as a baseband signal, and to further modulate a RF carrier for the purpose of transmission, right, we further modulate it using a RF carrier for the purpose of transmission. So this is the process of FDM taking place at the transmitting end. Now at the receiver end, exact opposite process would take place. That is, we receive the composite RF modulated signal. Okay, then we have individual filters, band pass filters, and then individual demodulators at the same carrier frequencies f1 which was used for the modulation process. Individual demodulators will be used. And you get your original message signal which was transmitted to different sources, different receiver and receivers. So you can see at the receiver end, this is the receiver end, the incoming composite signal is first demodulated by RF carrier. So first RF carrier demodulation takes place of this of this composite signal. Okay, and now which is then band pass filtered. This demodulated RF carrier demodulated signal is now band pass filtered. Okay, this band pass filtering process takes place to separate all the modulated signals. There are three signals over here. To separate all the three signals, we pass it through band pass filter with different pass bands. Okay, then each modulated signal, you can see each modulated signal is demodulated individually depending on the modulation scheme adopted at the transmitting end. Appropriate detection process is used, and they are detected individually at the their respective carrier frequencies. Okay, or you can say subcarriers, to obtain the basic baseband signal, for different receiver sources. So this is the overall process of frequency division multiplexing that is required. You can say multiplexing is required for the efficient utilization of the spectrum, because the spectrum is very precious and limited in nature. So we need to come up with a different type of multiplexes schemes. This is one of the most basic kind of a scheme that is used for the efficient utilization of the spectrum. So that ends your unit number 3. Will begin with unit number 4 in the next lecture. Thank you.